Welcome back. And now for something completely different from the traditional holiday fare, I'm making Italian seafood tomato pasta. It's an amazing combo of seafood in a wonderful tomato broth. So good. I sauteed shallot and garlic and then added tomatoes and Italian seasoning. Now for the wine. A nice white wine in the pan, and while this simmers, Barb's down in the Dierbergs seafood department. She's got some great advice for picking out the absolute best seafood.
So we wanted to go to an expert to get some tips on cooking our shellfish, and I'm here with Patrick Grove, our seafood manager. We're going to use 3 kinds for our recipe. The first one is some scallops. What do you suggest for those?
Well, for scallops, we really like the fresh, pure dry sea scallop. Pure dry means that they're not pumped with any sort of solution, so you're always getting a fresh tasting scallop.
Love that fresh flavor. Now, mussels are something people might buy more in a restaurant than they cook at home, so perhaps a little less familiar.
Well, we only carry the Prince Edward Island mussel. They're one of the highest quality mussels available today.
Oh, good.
They come with no beards on them, so they're convenient to cook. Plus, they look really cool in the dish.
Those black shells really add some drama to the finished pasta. Love that. Now, for shrimp, there's several different varieties, and what do you suggest there?
We recommend the black tiger shrimp. They've been peeled and deveined, so they're really convenient to cook. They're going to have a nice, firm texture. They're going to look a little gray in the case, but they're going to cook up to a beautiful pink color.
Oh, that sounds like exactly what we need. I love the convenience factor. Well, now that we know how to choose the seafood, we're going to go back to Marianne to find out how to cook it. And Patrick, come upstairs. We'll give you a sample in a few minutes.
I can't wait to try it.
Great.
I love the combination of shrimp, scallops, and mussels, but you can use any seafood that you like. It all works. The most important thing to remember is to add the seafood in batches so everything cooks evenly, but at the same time. So I'll start with the scallops and layer those into the tomato broth. Make sure to spread them out evenly and nestle them in. Cover it and let it simmer for just a couple minutes. I've got time to drop the pasta in the water. I love using Dierbergs fresh pasta. It really elevates the dish from the traditional dried pasta, and it cooks so quickly. Goes right in the pot, give it a little stir, and that'll finish while we finish the seafood. The scallops are just starting to turn opaque, which is perfect, and now for the mussels. Rinse them with cold water before you add them into the pot, and just take a minute and double check them. And if they start to open up, give them a tap with something, and if they close up, they're absolutely fine to use. If they don't, those are the ones you need to throw away. Those go right in an even layer in the pot. Cover that up. That'll simmer for just a couple minutes, and I'll give the pasta a stir while the mussels are opening up nicely. So it's time to add the shrimp. And this shrimp will cook just until it starts to turn pink and curls just a little bit. The lid goes back on, and I'm sure the pasta's done now. So the best way to see if pasta's done is to actually taste it. It should be just a little bit tough or al dente, which is Italian for to the tooth. And this is perfect. I'm going to sit it up here, but I'm not going to throw the pasta water away just yet. You might need that. A quick check of our seafood here and a quick stir to make sure that that shrimp is covered with that tomato broth so it'll cook quickly. Everything is cooked to perfection and it smells amazing. The pasta may just be a little bit sticky in the strainer, so dunk it back in for just a second, stir it around, and that'll loosen everything up. That makes it easy to get a perfect portion. Nestle that on the plate. And now it's time to spoon that beautiful seafood right over the top. And take a quick check as you start to plate it up, and make sure that all of the mussels have opened. And if there's a few that haven't, you'll want to toss those away as well. Rough chop just a little bit of parsley. Put it in a little mound right on the center of the plate, and you have got a dish that is perfect for a casual night in celebrating with friends. And what better way to celebrate than with some red wine? A perfect pairing is the Ruffino Chianti. The Chianti is a great balance for the acidity of the tomatoes, but yet it balances well with the lightness of the seafood. It's absolutely spectacular. And speaking of unique entrees, Barb has another one to show you that is incredible.
So you're probably familiar with a beef Wellington, the classic holiday entree, but we have reinvented it for tonight. And instead of being beef tenderloin in puff pastry, it's all about the veggies, and we're making a vegetable Wellington. Now, the first step for this recipe is to actually roast some butternut squash, and you'll love the fact that you can buy it in the produce department. It's already peeled and diced, and it's ready to roast. So you just spread it in a single layer, put it in a hot oven, and that way you'll make sure that it roasts and doesn't steam. Now in the skillet, I've already cooked some mushrooms with some red pepper, some shallot, and some herbs de Provence. I'm going to add some chopped spinach to this mixture. We want to stir this around and let it cook for just a minute, but actually the heat of the vegetables can finish wilting that spinach. I'll take the vegetables and I'll put them into a large metal bowl. That will help them to cool down a little bit. Because when we put this into the pastry, we like the vegetables to be cool, if we can get them that way. And let's talk about the pastry. So you'll need some frozen puff pastry, and when you buy it, there's 2 sheets already in the box. You'll use both of those for this recipe, but I'm just going to show you how to work with one of them tonight. So I'm going to spread a little bit of flour onto my cutting board so it doesn't stick. Then I'll unfold the pastry. And I want to roll this out so that I have a rectangle that's about 10 by 14 inches. We'll just smooth it out and stretch it a little bit larger. I'll just check this with a ruler to be sure I'm pretty close, and I think that'll work just fine. Now I want to brush the entire surface of this pastry with some egg wash. That's simply an egg that I've beat with a little bit of water, and we'll coat the whole surface here. Now to finish up the filling, what I want to do is I want to add the butternut squash back in with the other vegetables. And when you make this at home, again, be sure that you have all the vegetables well cooled before you proceed to the final step here. I have a carton of the crumbled goat cheese, and I'll just stir that in. I'll take half of the vegetable mixture. I'm going to spread it down the center of this puff pastry, covering up just about 1/3 of the pastry. And then I'm going to make some cuts in the pastry to make about 1-inch strips. Just cut all the way down both sides. And now for the fun part, we're just going to start taking the strips and alternating them across the filling. This is going to give you a braided effect. You don't have to be too particular because as this bakes, the pastry is going to puff and get golden. When you get to the end, you just want to tuck the end under so that the filling stays in. I'll tuck this in under to seal the filling again. And then I can move this to a parchment-lined baking sheet. Now again, when you're making this at home, you would be ready to repeat this with the remaining pastry and the remaining filling. I'm going to go ahead and just brush the top of this with some more of the egg wash. That's going to help the pastry to brown and be really pretty when it's all finished. Now this is a great make-ahead entree because at this point, to make the pastry really flaky, it needs to go in the refrigerator for at least a half an hour. So you can put it in the refrigerator and then just bake it up right before dinner is ready. So after this pastry comes out of the oven, look how beautiful and golden brown it is, and it smells absolutely wonderful. So I've cut this into some wedges. I'm just going to move those onto my serving plate. And then to finish this off, we're going to use a little bit of a balsamic glaze just to drizzle over the top of it. Now this is something you'll find in the vinegar aisle at Dierbergs. It's just balsamic vinegar that has been reduced until it gets to be a little bit syrupy. Now in the magazine, we give you some wine pairings for all of the various entrees, and for this one, we suggest that you use the semi-chardonnay. It's just a really nice finish that complements the slight sweetness of the butternut squash, the tang of the goat cheese, and then the pastry is just rich. So this is the perfect pairing. You'll want to check out all the other entrees that we have in the magazine for your various holiday celebrations. And we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we have cookies for rookies, so don't go away.